Muted.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Megan, and hello, everyone. This is Erin Gilbert with Onboard Informatics. I think we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to our online learning session on generating more seller leads. As I said, our presenters today are myself, Erin Gilbert. I'm the Director of Marketing for Onboard Informatics. We are a leader in data-driven consumer engagement, and I'm joined today by Megan Spray.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we get started in earnest, I wanted to just have a few moments to do a little housekeeping. Everyone out there, if you have any questions as we get going, please feel free to write them in the question section, and we will either address them throughout the presentation or we will save some time at the end. Also, if you have to drop off for any reason, we will send you a copy of this recording for future reference. If you are having any technical difficulties at this point, if you can't see the presentation, you should be seeing something that says the agenda. If you have trouble hearing either Megan or myself, can you please just let us know by either raising your hand or making any suggestions in the questions section at this point. Making sure we are all good. Looks great. Okay, looks like we are good to go. Let's move on to our agenda. Today's online learning session is all about generating more seller leads in real estate. And by seller leads, of course, we mean home sellers. So we want to cover why these leads are so valuable. We want to look at some examples of businesses or companies that are doing this well. Who is generating a lot of seller leads and what type of content are they using to do that? And then finally, we want to get to the nitty-gritty of today's presentation, which is what you can do to generate more of these leads. So that's kind of what we're covering today. We are going to keep this relatively short, about 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started. First, why are seller leads valuable in real estate? Well, there's three main reasons. First, control. Agents get more control over their time and can take on more clients when they have seller leads. So unlike a home buyer who might want to see several properties, obviously, a home seller is just selling a single property. So it's a lot easy to manage your time. Also, you have the opportunity as an agent for what we call duality, or the potential to not only sell that home, but also help that home seller find a future property. So you have the chance to represent both sides of the deal with seller leads. And that can lead to higher commissions, of course, but also bidding wars in low inventory markets can lead to higher commissions for agents. So if you are a broker or if you have a team of agents, these are the types of leads that a lot of agents find appealing and valuable. And there are a lot of these types of leads. In fact, in 2015, 5.25 million properties were sold in the United States. So that's 5.25 million leads out there. So our challenge today is figuring out how we get a hold of these leads. And a lot of that is through building a process. Understanding the consumer's journey, right? So first you have to find them where they are. So today we're going to talk about how to attract sellers, where they are, what messaging resonates with them, how you can identify who might be likely to sell their home in the near future. Then you want to provide them valuable content. First, enabling them to trust your knowledge, and also, again, enabling them to raise their hand that they are interested in taking this journey or continuing this process. We're going to talk a little bit about using interactive tools to increase consumer engagement so they feel a part of the process. And finally, the follow-up is almost equally as important. Once you've identified those who are more likely to sell their home in the next, let's say 60 to 90 days, then you really want to have effective follow-up mechanisms where you can reach back out to them and continue to engage them until they're ready to pull the trigger, so to speak. So let's take a pause on this idea of valuable content, because in each step, whether you're identifying leads, attracting leads, engaging leads, or converting those leads, you're going to need some compelling content to do this. And so let's see who out there is doing this well. We're going to look at a couple big names to start. First, Realtor.com launched a tool to attract seller leads last spring. I think it was April. And this tool is called Connections for Sellers. They built a tool to help sellers price their home based on local properties for sale and overall trends in their area. So this has an AVM for the property in question, you can see, but it also shows a month-over-month trend. So the visitor can see if now is an optimal time to put their home on the market. Realtor.com also offers some comparatives, and of course, they list local agents in the top right, which we can't see at this point, but you know, there's always a call to action, which you want to include. So this is a nice display of a lot of valuable content for a home seller, right? They can see what their home is worth, they can get a little summary on the property, they can see where the trends are. So this is a nice example of how you could display some content that would be very valuable for home sellers. Here's another one, a little company you may have heard of. This is Zillow. So Zillow's tool, they also actually launched this last spring, and this is called the Best Time to List. It's only available for registered users of Zillow, but this is kind of a neat idea because it takes, you know, the Realtor.com is a more traditional approach to content display. Zillow's taken a lot of data points and created a chart that graphs when the best time to place your property on the market is. So they use things like market trends, same data points, but they also use things like the specific area trends, weather patterns, and things like that to make a recommendation on when you should place your home on the market. So this is kind of an interesting twist using similar data points. We also, I guess I had a little link there. That's what it looks like in real time. So that's good to see too. Let's see. Having a little technical difficulties moving forward. We also, of course, wanted to take a look at what Commission CINC or CINC is doing. So I'm going to let Megan take over at this point and walk you through this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Darren. So one of the features that we give, or tools that we give to our agents, is what we call the Seller Suite. And it's essentially the What is Your Home Worth lead capture. And it's a way to, you can create an unlimited landing pages to target certain markets or areas or neighborhoods. And we do the essentially What is Your Home Worth opt-in form. And after going through a couple of steps of confirming the information and gathering the lead information, we actually take the aggregate information of market stats and things like that, and we distribute that to the home seller. If you go to the next slide, Erin, it will actually show, we tell them how many buyers are currently in line looking for homes that are similar to theirs. And then we also get a home value range. One of the things that you don't see on this page in particular is we also give them homes that have sold near them or in their price range over the last X amount of days. So we take all the data in the market and we just display it to kind of educate that home seller to know exactly what they should be thinking if they are thinking about selling their home. And so it's actually been a great tool, and a lot of the agents are loving being able to create multiple, target specific markets, you know, cater to a specific neighborhood and really capture leads of the seller's work. Another thing that we do, and on the next slide, Erin, we also do general landing pages. So one tool is obviously our sellers, but we also create the opportunity to capture leads based on seller, with our seller landing page builder. And once a lead comes through the seller suite or the seller landing page builder, we then send them updates of information about their property, information about their neighborhood, homes sold in their market. And so this is another way in which we're using the information around the market and delivering that content to the end user. And so those are probably our two biggest capture points when it comes to seller leads.
Yeah, these are great examples of different ways to use that type of content. So, you know, we've seen different examples. We've seen kind of the big national portal, so to speak, but also what CINC has done is really created something that can be used by agent teams or even, you know, small to mid-sized brokerages. Kind of using the same technique, but in a more scalable way. So that's really outstanding. When thinking, we're going to kind of move into the next phase is really how you can create something like this for yourself. So when thinking of generating a tool or creating a tool that helps generate more seller leads, you can think of it in 3 steps. And the first step, which is crucial, is targeting, pulling those leads into your funnel. So again, we have an example from CINC.
Yeah, absolutely. So with our landing pages, we work with thousands of agents all across, and everybody has their own way of marketing. So one of the ways I wanted to kind of show you guys is the correlation of print type marketing or farming and direct mail type marketing that would then lead to the seller suite or landing page. It's all about congruency. It's making sure that your message to market matches where you're leading them and where they're going. So this is an example of one of our clients. They did a postcard with the homes in West Loop. And we actually he targets a specific neighborhood and drives leads that way. So it's a great way, direct mail farming and driving leads that way. Of course, that's a higher cost thing to do, and it's probably a long-term conversion and capture rate, but direct mail and farming is definitely one way we see a lot of clients. The next way that we do generate a lot of seller leads is just social media marketing. One thing that I did leave off here is that we are starting to do seller marketing in Google, which hasn't been a thing before. A lot of people have tried it and haven't worked out well, but as one of the top partners in our company, Google has worked with us to really figure out how do we capture leads and seller leads via Google, where we've always been able to do it on Facebook. So here's a couple of social media ads that work really well for us. On the left-hand side, you'll see the map version. Although it's not, I hate to say sexy, it's not pretty, it does pull actually extremely well. So if you are looking to do any social media marketing, we have a team of 12 individuals that's all they do all day long is test and split test and drive leads. And so, you know, this is one of our top rated ads that are coming through and pulling and generating seller leads for our clients. On the right-hand side, again, it's another way to generate leads to landing pages. And so, again, social media marketing, the best thing about social media marketing is you have so many different criteria that you can narrow down your target audience and be in front of them nonstop. So, again, social media is probably the biggest and one of the easiest now. And especially with Facebook going into Instagram, pictures are obviously a big pull for everything, so always be putting money towards that. The last piece is remarketing, and this is something that we have been doing in the last probably 5 to 6 months. We've been doing it for our clients. If you're not doing remarketing, know that it does do extremely well when you're generating leads online to stay in front of them, to make easier one-touch phone calls. When you're calling them, now they put a face with a name, and you're now going to be following them on every site that they visit online, but it does make a huge difference when it comes to getting your brand or answering the phone and saying, hey, this is Megan Spray, and they've seen that name somewhere, right? So we have done a great job at figuring out and trying and really nailing the remarketing concept to generate leads and help create a better conversation with the leads. So those are probably my 3 biggest, what we really help our agents target, which is the direct mail and farming, social media and any Google type search advertising, and then the remarketing efforts.
Yeah, those are some great pieces of advice, especially things like being really visual when you're advertising on social media, and then the remarketing piece is quite valuable. So that all kind of goes into how to target. The next phase you want to think about when building out, this lead generator is engaging those consumers. So what can you offer of value? Most sites are going to be really straightforward. So if you do any kind of advertising, it's going to lead to a landing page that may look something like this. It has a call to action that's just asking for a specific property. And when looking at this, I would suggest keeping it this simple. The less noise, the less distractions, I think the more engaged people will be, the more they'll want to participate, and the less, bleed or leads lost you'll have on your site. One thing that we've been looking at is how to make, we've been selling, at Onboard, we've been selling an AVM or an automated valuation model for many, many years. And now we're trying to figure out, based on how many people are now interested in this, how to make it more interactive. And certainly the national portals are doing this as well. But if you can have the consumer pick out, the homes that are relevant to their own, or pick out what condition the property is in, and then the AVM adjusts based on their participation, we've been getting a lot of great engagement metrics with things like this. So when thinking about your tools, or when thinking about bringing valuable content to the leads you've generated, thinking about something that might be a little more interactive is a great way to go. And we actually have a turnkey AVM that is included, information on that is included in your handouts today if you're unclear on how to go about that. Here we have an estimated home value from CINC.
Yeah, so this is the information more of the information that we give when someone comes in to figure out their home value. So again, we give an estimated home value. We do give that as an optional tool because we know sometimes, these ranges can be a little off, but we give the option to the agent so that they can, cater their messaging to their market. And then at the bottom, you'll see comparable properties and recent properties sold. And we, again, aggregate the information coming from the market based on the property that was brought into the system. So what we're trying to do is just educate them, show them what value we can already bring, and then going to the next step. I will say, Erin, the last tool that you guys were showing is awesome. Just thinking about all the ways in which you can use it. We've actually been discussing, taking your data and going just one step further and making it interactive, because that's really key in getting someone engaged.
Yeah, it also helps when AVMs aren't the most accurate. So that if people feel more involved, they feel like there's a scale and they're included in that. So great idea on the education. So when thinking about engagement, I think thinking about education is a great way to frame that. And then finally, looking at the follow-up. So, sometimes people will come to your landing page, they'll find out more information on the property, but they won't be ready to put their property for sale at that moment. So what can you do to stay in front of those consumers until they are ready to make that move? Another thing that we promote and support is ongoing nurture or drip marketing campaigns that help you stay in front of these leads with exactly the same information, but this information changes on a quarterly or even monthly basis. And so if you're able to reach back out, putting your agents front and center and showing the latest information, we get tremendous open and click-through rates on information like this, because it is related to something they care very deeply about, which is their home. And here's another example from Commissions Inc.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I love doing these webinars because you just get so many more ideas of what everybody else is using. That last tool is great as it's dynamic to the information that's going out or based on the property or the market changes. I mean, that's what definitely you're spot on, and that's going to get that seller engaged. We do something similar, probably not as robust, but we're constantly staying in front of them, letting them know, hey, we got the buyers. we have the information that, and the people that are looking for homes near you or like yours. We also then give them information about sold. Everybody wants to know what someone else is sold for. They get, you know, although maybe it's not always relevant, or maybe it's not even always an equal property, they always want to know. And so we put that information in front of them and give you the option. Do you want to send it to them daily? Do you want to send it to them weekly? And we're constantly giving them as much information on making the decision and who they should go with, just based on, you know, delivering as much value as we can. So this is one of the example emails. It's kind of cut off. There's actually quite a bit more to it, top and bottom, but it is one of the examples of our automatic communication system where, you know, we're just staying in front of them until the timing is right. This is another one. So when sellers come in, or maybe it's a buyer that opts in to one of our buyer ads that also has a home to sell, we capture a lot of that information. We'll send out a regular property alert. So that's what you're seeing here. And what this information, again, is just properties that are sold. Everybody likes to know what someone else is sold for. And so that's what you're seeing here. And we keep it top of mind. Same as the last, is the same information going and touching them often. So I will jump in and apologize. I'm in Toronto currently at a live training event, so you're going to hear a lot of background noise. I should have said it earlier. This again is one of our examples.
Outstanding. All right, well, I think this is a great place to recap, and I will announce at this point if anyone has any questions, now would be a great time to start writing those in. Just in summary, when thinking about the 3 phases of building out a tool to attract seller leads, first, some best practices on messaging when you target sellers. It sounds like you know, using social or Google AdWords, keeping your visuals front and center, and then also kind of keeping it simple. You know, the example that Megan showed, what is your home worth, is still one of the top performers. So I don't think there's a need to get too cute or creative with your messaging. I think you can be really straightforward. And then when thinking of engagement, as Megan said, think of education. So what content can you provide that will be valuable to home sellers? Utilize current multi-dimensional data, and what I mean by that is what we saw like with Realtor and Zillow. They're pulling together different data points to create a complete picture for that potential home seller. And we also looked at some interactive solutions where people can actually interact and further engage with the tools that you provide. And then finally, when thinking about follow-up, keep it consistent. Certainly you can choose how frequently you want to reach back out to those leads, but do it on a consistent basis so you stay in front of them. And whenever possible, to personalize your information so that you're talking about something you know they care about. So if you only send one email out a quarter, but that email is on their home, you're much more likely to get open and higher engagement rates. So that concludes our official session. We do still have a few minutes, and it looks like we have some questions here. So I will go ahead and pull these up. Thank you so much for participating. Our first question comes from Sarah, and she says, I am with an agent team. We do quite a bit of Facebook advertising, and I'm wondering if Megan has any best practices for how to segment our advertising.
That's a great question. Yeah, you have so many options, and really I'd love to sit down with you and brainstorm, because I could go all day on this, but it's really matching. The key is matching your message to market. And so say you're going to target a specific demographic or age or area, or maybe you're targeting a specific location. You definitely want to make sure that your message to market is in alignment. So make sure you focus on their likes. Make sure you focus on, I always go back to my example when I first started in real estate 12 years ago. We targeted an area called Pecan Valley. It was a higher end. And so what I would do is I would target people in and around, or the ideal person of that area, And maybe I'm doing a seller. Of course, we're talking about sellers. And so I target all the Pecan Valley neighborhood people, anybody that works in a specific jobs in that area were common to live in that neighborhood. So I'd find demographics there, and then I'd blast everything as Pecan Valley, because now they're going to see you as the expert. So you can get so niche and minute. The one thing that I will tell you is Facebook gives you the option to select whether someone has a home to sell. Don't create your ads off of that information. Go outside of that information. We find that that does not convert as well as others. So that would be my one tip. But again, this is one topic that I could go all day.
That's a great tip, though. Okay, we have time for one more question. This question is from Gary. He says, it sounds like there is a lot of data involved in these solutions. How can I make this easier? I'm assuming, Gary, that you mean that there is a lot of different information on the types of solutions that we showed, which is definitely true. Let's see, the Zillow and Realtor.com certainly pulls in a lot of, market trends and AVMs and things of that nature. I would say that two things. One, if you are looking for a full solution, a company or vendor like CINC is a great place to go, because they already have all of these solutions kind of in the bag and ready to go. So that would be a great start. If you're looking to build out something more custom, Onboard Informatics certainly has has all of the data that you would need, and we've actually started pulling that together in a more easy way. So if you're interested in something like that, we have handouts with the handouts here on your webinar on both of those options. So it can seem overwhelming and like there's a lot of information and where am I going to get all this information, but really there are easy solutions that kind of pull it all together for you.
Yeah, can I add to that?
Yeah.
So I think we each do our own bit. Onboard Informatics is awesome in that they have all the information that we then aggregate. But we'd love to be able to have a conversation with you guys. Figure out where you're at in your business and see if what solutions we do provide do work for you and your business at this level. And so at any point you have a question or need anything, please reach out, because we're definitely here to help guide you. Whether we're the right tool or not, we're going to guide you in the right direction.
Absolutely, and well said. I think with that, we are going to go ahead and end today's session. All of you will be getting a recording of this if you want to pass it on or have any additional information or questions. And in that email, we will also, of course, include our contact information. As Megan said, if you want to continue the conversation or have further questions, we'd be happy to do that and answer those. So thanks, everyone, for participating. Thank you for your questions, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, Erin.